Kyle Shanahan, who is now the new head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Following the big game last week, he accepted the job on Monday, and I think Kyle Shanahan is a perfect fit in San Francisco. Now, here's the thing. Here's the issue. Before Kyle Shanahan was hired, out of anybody who you would have expected Jed York to hire, John Lynch, a.k.a. NFL on Fox color analyst to Kevin Burkhardt, John Lynch, as the new general manager of the 49ers. When I first saw that, my head spun, because I couldn't believe that out of anybody you could have thought, because you had to get this move right. You have to get this move right. John Lynch, don't get me wrong, a great football mind, a great person who I think would make a great difference in the front office, but you're putting him in a role when he's never had any experience in a front office. You're giving him a general manager's job. Now, don't get me wrong, John Lynch is going to work. He's going to work his butt off for this. Don't get me wrong. He's going to do at least what I think as best as he can. He's going to try his best to turn San Francisco around. You can't say the same about some of the other guys that Jed York has brought in. I think he's going to work. I think he's going to do whatever it takes to get this done and to bring a winning culture back to San Francisco. And that is who you want in charge. Problem here, John Lynch has never ever had a front office position, and now all of a sudden he's your general manager. I don't know if I agree with that. Now, our good buddy here at SMC Sports, Sean Martin, disagrees with me, and that's fine. I think John Lynch is going to do a good job. I do. But the problem here is ever since Jim Harbaugh was let go, Jed York has a consistent theme of firing people who don't deserve to be fired. Now, Tom Sula, he should not have been the head coach to begin with, but firing him after 1 year when you had no talent, he had nothing to do with how bad they were. Chip Kelly, I understand his track record. I understand how bad he was in Philadelphia when he completely ruined the organization. I understand that track record in firing him, but even he didn't deserve to get fired after 1 year because of how bad that team was. Now you bring in John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, two guys who I think in time can turn this organization around. A couple of good draft picks, couple of good signings in free agency coming up in March. Kyle Shanahan, a great offensive mind, which I think is what San Francisco needs. John Lynch, a great player, great color analyst for Fox. I think in time he will adjust to the role and he'll do fine. The problem here, will Jed York keep them around long enough to bring a winning culture back to San Francisco? Honestly, I can't give you a fair answer because honestly, first of all, you should have never let Jim Harbaugh go to begin with. Second of all, Tom Sula shouldn't have been fired after a year, maybe two. And even Chip Kelly shouldn't have been fired last year either. Again, we understand how bad Chip Kelly was in Philadelphia after that first year. We understand he ruined the organization because he was given too much power. We knew he wasn't going to be given that much power in San Francisco. Now, he was the head coach. He did have decisions to make in games that were difficult. For example, Colin Kaepernick, Gabbert, who was going to be the quarterback. We understand he had to make those calls. The team had no talent to begin with. You can make a case for Carlos Hyde. You can make a case for a couple of guys on the team. But overall, you can make a case that Cleveland has a better overall roster and a better overall future, especially than San Francisco. Now, bringing in Kyle Shanahan, I think, will help turn the organization around in time. It's not going to happen next year. They're going to be god-awful next year. It's not going to happen the year after that. They're going to be god-awful in 2 years. You give Kyle Shanahan 3 to 5, 6 years, you will start to see the winning culture return to San Fran. The question is, will Jed York give him enough time? First of all, the single worst move that Jed York could have ever made was firing Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh turned the San Francisco 49ers into a contender, brought them to the big game a few years ago, came this close to bringing them back 3 years ago, and then, because, Jim Harbaugh didn't get along with people, and because he wanted to run things his way and not your way, you let him go. What happens after that? The second Harbaugh left, San Francisco became the laughingstock of the NFL. It's amazing how quickly Jed York made the franchise plummet. He needs to give these two time to win, because you will not win next year. I even said it to a few people yesterday. Give Kyle Shanahan a 4 to 5 win season next year. I consider that a success for San Francisco. It's up in the right direction. Now, you need to get your draft picks right. You have to be smart in the draft. Basically, San Francisco could draft anybody because everybody on their team is god-awful. They need more talent. So you could really draft anybody on the O-line. You could draft anybody on the defense, on the front seven, in the secondary. It doesn't matter. Draft somebody. You have a top draft pick. Just address your biggest need first and then go from there. You have to give Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch time to turn this team around. Because I'm telling you right now, if Jed York fires these two after a year or after 2 years, San Francisco is never going to win again as long as Jed York owns the team. He has turned this team into a laughingstock, an embarrassment, a cancer to the NFL. And it's honestly embarrassing to watch. It's embarrassing to follow that I even have to talk about the possibility of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch not making it out of 2 years, because you need to give these two time to turn the organization around, just like you gave Harbaugh time to turn the organization around. Now, when Harbaugh took over, the team wasn't bad. They just needed that step in the right direction, and that's who Harbaugh was. Tom Sula wasn't going to bring you a championship. Chip Kelly wasn't going to bring you a championship. But should they have been fired after 1 year? No, because it wasn't their fault of how bad the team was. You can make a case that, if it was always the head coach's fault that a team did as bad as they did, Jason Garrett should have been fired last year. There should have been a lot of people that should have been fired if you were going to put it all on the head coach. Honestly, Jack Del Rio would have been fired after year one. You can make the case for Tom Coughlin in his first year. But if you put all the blame on a head coach, every team would be rehiring every year except for New England. Here's the problem with San Francisco. They are so horrifically run by Jed York. Jed York doesn't even know, what time it is. Jed York has to look into the crowd for a Jets 49ers game and realize that every seat in that new billion-dollar stadium is empty, and he doesn't think that's a problem? For real. That's embarrassing. Honestly, let's be real. Let's be real. Kyle Shanahan, great head coaching hire. It's probably one of the best things he's done the last couple of years. Because when he hired Chip Kelly last year, I wanted to throw the television out the window. Because I knew that was going to be a dumpster fire and a train wreck, and he was only going to last 1 or 2 years, and he only lasted 1. And I thought he was unfairly fired. I understand his track record in Philadelphia, but you got to give somebody time to at least give you some insight, to give you some hope that the organization is going to turn around. Honestly, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Now, John Lynch, again, has never had an executive role in a front office before, ever. So I'm curious to see how it works. Now, I think over time he'll adjust and he'll do just fine. He has a great football mind. He's got a great mind for the game. I think he'll be okay. And Kyle Shanahan, you couldn't have picked a better head coaching candidate for San Francisco. For a team that desperately needs work on the offense, if you want to save Colin Kaepernick and Blaine Gabbert's careers for whatever they're left, Kyle Shanahan's the guy to bring in to at least help those guys. But let's be real here. If you're Jed York and you don't give these two time to help you win and you fire them after next year or the year after, I promise you, whatever's left of the San Francisco 49ers fan base is going to walk over to Los Angeles.